Eastern European giants, once champions of a continent, now locked in civil war. This isn't a new rivalry from across town, but a bitter dispute that's sprung from within the very heart of the club itself. If anything, the temperature is rising, and the wounds are only getting deeper. This is the story of Steaua Bucharest, a name that once strung fear into opponents, which is now a battleground of identity, history, and raw power. Our story begins in a different era, a different Romania. Founded in 1947 as an army club in the early days of Romania's communist regime, Steaua Bucharest quickly established itself as a dominant force. For decades, their fierce competition with city rivals Dinamo Bucharest, the club tied to the secret police, absolutely dominated the country's football scene. These weren't just football matches. They were symbolic clashes of power, prestige, and ideology. Steaua and Dinamo attracted all the best talent because they offered conditions unimaginable to ordinary citizens. Players earned more, had access to food resources others could only dream of, and were promised future financial security through guaranteed roles in the army or the police after retirement. This wasn't just a career, it was a life of privilege in a tightly controlled state. By the 1980s, their influence began to spread beyond Romania's borders. In the 83-84 season, Dinamo made a significant splash, reaching the European Cup semi-finals before ultimately losing to the eventual champions Liverpool. But just 2 years later, it was Steaua's turn to write themselves into footballing legend. In 1986, in Seville, Steaua Bucharest, against all odds, lifted the most prestigious trophy in European club football, the European Cup. They defeated Terry Venable's Barcelona on penalties, with Helmut Dukadam, the hero of Seville, famously saving 4 spot kicks. This was a monumental achievement, not just for Steaua, but for Eastern European football as a whole. They became the first club from the East to conquer Europe. Their dominance wasn't a fluke. From June 86 to September 89, Steaua went an improbable 119 domestic matches without defeat, setting a record for that time, and a European one which still stands. Their team boasted talents like elegant sweeper Miodrag Beludecic, the metronomic Laszlo Balini, and the prolific forward duo of Victor Pietruca and Marius Lacatus. They reached the European Cup semi-finals again in 87-88, and then, in 89, another final. However, this time, they suffered a crushing 4-0 defeat to Arrigo Sacchi's magnificent AC Milan side, featuring Van Basten, Gullit and Rijkaard. It was a stark reminder of the growing gap between the East and the West of Europe. This period, however, was also shrouded in controversy. During the mid to late 80s, Nicolae Ceausescu's son, Valentin, was initiated into the Steaua setup in some sort of nondescript administrative role. From that moment, the club's fortunes dramatically changed. Steaua topped the league for the next 6 years. Detractors strongly believed it was more than just a coincidence, citing widespread rumours of collusion with officials and opposing teams, who faced the wrath of the Ceausescus if they failed to comply. Players, while paid modestly by communist standards, were heavily incentivised with luxuries like TVs and video recorders not available to others. The club also had a notorious penchant for acquiring players at will, exemplified by the legendary Georgi Hagi being borrowed from Sportul Studenetsk for the 1987 European Super Cup. After scoring the winning goal, Hagi was permanently transferred to Steaua. Even the 1988 Romanian Cup final against Dinamo illustrates the dysfunctional nature of football under the dictatorship. When Steaua striker Gavrila Belint's goal was disallowed, Ceausescu famously ordered his team off the field. The referee abandoned the game and Dinamo were initially declared victors. However, the record books tell a different tale, with some claiming Ceausescu's generals confiscated the cup from Dinamo and presented it to Steaua. Regardless of what the truth was, it highlighted the deeply unsettling blend of football and autocratic power. Months after their 1989 European Cup final, in December 89, the Romanian Revolution left blood on the streets of Bucharest, as Ceausescu's dictatorship was violently overthrown. Ceausescu and his wife were executed on Christmas Day, Society as a whole had to adopt a new life, and football was no exception. Players no longer bound by the state restrictions were free to seek transfers abroad, leading to a mass exodus of talent. State money continued to be injected into Romanian football during the early 90s, but the writing was already on the wall. Clubs were eventually asked to find independent ways to support their activities. In 1998, Steaua made its first steps towards privatisation, separating its football section from the multi-sports club run by the Ministry of Defence, and becoming AFC Steaua Bucharest, a non-profit organisation led by businessman Viorel Paunescu. But things did not go according to plan. The new owners proved far from successful. The club became a financial black hole, deemed a financial risk, and bankruptcy was openly discussed in the media. This dire situation opened the door for a new, powerful figure, Gigi Becali. Inspired by Berlusconi at AC Milan, Becali, a former shepherd who became a property tycoon in the years following communism's collapse, amassed a fortune estimated at hundreds of millions of pounds. He had a singular ambition: to become world-renowned through footballing success. In 2003, he became Steaua's new owner, or so it seemed at the time. He transformed the non-profit into a public share company, gaining, as he believed, total control. Over the next 14 years, Becali's team enjoyed significant on-pitch success. They won 5 league titles and reached the Champions League group stages 4 times, even making the UEFA Cup semi-finals in 2006, where they eventually lost to Middlesbrough. His club, despite increasing controversy surrounding his personality, were undeniably a force in Romanian football. But the foundations of Becali's ownership were shakier than anyone realised. In 2017, a legal bombshell dropped. The 2003 takeover was deemed invalid. After years of legal proceedings starting in 2011, the Supreme Court in Romania finally ruled that the registration of the Steaua brand made by Becali in 2004, 1 year after taking over the club, was illegal. The court stated that the Ministry of Defence had never transferred the rights to the Steaua name, logo, or history when the football section was privatised in '98. In the eyes of the law, Becali's club had no ownership of the Steaua brand. Every symbol related to their identity was returned to the Romanian Ministry of Defence's possession with immediate effect. Becali's team was finally compelled to abandon the iconic Steaua name. They became FCSB and were forced to give up their claim on Steaua's glittering past, including the 1986 European Cup victory, their 21 league titles, and record 20 Romanian Cup triumphs between 1947 and 2003. This was a ruling they still vehemently dispute. Florin Talpan, the resolute legal counsel for the Ministry of Defence's sports club, CSA Steaua, became a public figure, relentlessly pursuing justice. He told Romanian media Becali never had the history of this club. The army rightfully owns it. This is the brand under which the European Cup and the Super Cup were won. It would have been unfair for Becali to keep it. We took everything back. The football club can't use the name Steaua anymore. We won't accept any confusion. In that very same year, 2017, a reformed Steaua Bucharest, claiming authentic continuity with the great old club, began a new life in Romania's 4th division. This was the Ministry of Defence's reactivated football section, starting from scratch in the amateur leagues. Some fans followed them, convinced that Becali had never truly owned Steaua. Others remained loyal to Becali, claiming he was wronged due to a personal vendetta. The name Steaua effectively became invisible at Becali's club, removed from all training kits and official suits. The situation was bizarre, leading to games where the scoreboard displayed hosts above an empty square where the Steaua crest used to be. The dispute, far from settling, only intensified. Last season, the army-backed Steaua were promoted to the 2nd division via a playoff win. Now there is only one league separating them from FCSB. This proximity has fueled the fire, particularly from Becali's side. He was never one to shy away from controversy. He's actively tried to sabotage Steaua's ascent by lending top-flight players to their rivals. He described it as a bit of fun, adding, "I just wanted to laugh at them." He's publicly declared they have no future, they need to change their structure, and they can't do it. That team is spending state money for nothing. They can't play professional football. Steaua, the army club, is owned by Romania's Ministry of Defence. Under current rules, they must have at least some private ownership if they are to make the next step in their journey, back to the top tier. Romanian law does not currently allow publicly owned clubs to compete in the top league. This requirement, however, is likely to face scrutiny and could change in the near future. Becali's confrontational personality is legendary. In prison for almost 2 years between 2013 and 2015 for an illegal land swap deal with the Ministry of Defence itself, he's also made numerous controversial public statements. The political party he first led in the mid-2000s was described by the US State Department as extreme nationalist. He's allegedly been involved in violent incidents, including threatening to cancel players' contracts if they were underperforming. Becali himself claims to donate millions each year to charitable Orthodox Christian projects. His complex character fuels the divide, burning multiple bridges across the fanbase. The ultimate symbol of Steaua's disputed identity, and another major battleground, is the stadium. Steaua attracts crowds of only a couple of thousand to their brand new £80 million, 31,000-seater stadium on the site of the club's historic ground in the Ghencea district of Bucharest, where FCSB played until 2015. For that reason, FCSB believes it should be their new home. Since 2015, they've played home matches at the National Arena in Bucharest, a 55,000-seater ground that hosted games at Euro 2020. However, FCSB doesn't fill the stadium, with an average attendance of about 7,500 last season. Groups on both sides of the divide are raising their voices in this stadium dispute. One supporters trust that backs the army-reformed Steaua states firmly, "Ghencea is Steaua land. It's impossible to conceive a deal happening between Steaua and someone we are fighting in court. Someone who is to blame for our team going to the 4th tier. FCSB is an imposter club. They tried to illegally assume our trophy record and the Steaua brand. It was proved in court." The opposing view from fan groups connected to FCSB stated, "It's a certain thing that we'll play at the new ground in Ghencea. We are gathering documents, doing what we can as supporters to get the team closer to playing there. The army's leaders are scared that if we go there, the stands will be full. When that happens, there'll be no doubt that the people have chosen FCSB as being Steaua." This division extends to the very legends of the club. Friends who once played together, including stars of that '86 European Cup win, are now separated by this dispute. Gabriel Balint, who scored the winning penalty in Seville, believes a ground share could be dangerous to avoid fights and scandals between supporters. He sides with Steaua, the team now in the 2nd tier. His former teammate, Helmut Dukadam, the hero goalkeeper of '86, was an ambassador for FCSB before his untimely death, sides with Becali's club. They do, however, agree on one crucial point. "I used to believe peace was possible, but not anymore," Dukadam said, while Balint responded, "We now have 2 different clubs. They are in court against one another. I can't see reconciliation happening. How could it now?" The legal labyrinth is intricate and ongoing. The Supreme Court's definitive ruling in October 23, confirmed again in June 25, irrevocably stated that the historical honours from 47 to 98 belong solely to CSA Steaua Bucharest. Furthermore, the court explicitly rejected Becali's lawyer's request for sporting rights to the records from 2003 to 2017, meaning FCSB officially owns only 2 national titles, one in 23-24 and 24-25. This was a massive blow to their claim of continuity. Despite this, UEFA's official website, as of April 25, still lists FCSB as the winner of the '86 European Cup final, reflecting the complex interplay between national court rulings and international football federations. Both sides, bizarrely, claimed victory in their last court decision, highlighting the different interpretations and deep-seated animosity. The Ministry of Defence has also demanded Becali pay more than £31 million as compensation for illegal use of the Steaua brand. Becali has not given up on the name. "We'll win one trial after another," he said. "Honestly, I like the new crest and the new name more, but it matters for the fans, so I believe the courts will do us justice in the end." His attitude in 2011, when the trial first started, was even more bullish. "I will give the team a new name. What can the problem be? I can call it however I want. It's mine. Let's see who the fans will support, me or the Generals team." The legal saga is not just about a football club. It's a microcosm of post-communist Romania, where questions of ownership, legitimacy and historical truth are still being debated. The decision to turn Steaua into a modern-day club in '98 was strictly for financial reasons. The government could not keep investing in the football department. Other sections of the Steaua Sports Club, handball, basketball, fencing, even water polo, continued to thrive under army funding. But the football club's journey into the private sector quickly became a quagmire. Even in a crucial Europa League tie against Dinamo Kyiv, despite reduced ticket prices, the National Arena attracted under 8,000 fans, a sign of the fracturing support. Becali has always fought hard for his interests, even for reduced rent at the ageing Ghencea Stadium. Becali's retort in 2011 still rings true for his supporters. They say, "Why am I using the symbol illegally? Okay, then why did they agree contracts with me for so long? Why did they accept me in their stadium? How can they explain that to me?" Becali's terms did not involve buying back what he claimed he already owns. He famously declared a few months before his arrest, "They probably want me to sell. No problem, I can deal with that. But I have to announce to everyone that Steaua is not for sale." But what exactly does Becali own in the eyes of Romanian law? Will the team with no symbols be Steaua again? Millions of football fans worldwide are demanding answers. This is a story that goes beyond mere football. It delves into the complexities of identity, ownership, and the enduring legacy of a past. The UEFA Champions League, the pinnacle of modern football, was born from the collapse of communism, accommodating more national champions. Yet in Romania, the legacy of that era continues to haunt one of its greatest clubs. While UEFA and the Romanian Football Federation generally consider FCSB the continuation of the historic Steaua, legal rulings are challenging that perception. Steaua Bucharest's story is far from over. It's an unfolding drama that reminds us how deeply entwined football can be with power and the very soul of a nation. The two clubs, still fighting in court, represent a divided past and an uncertain future. Will there ever be reconciliation? Or will the echoes of 1986 forever be claimed by two separate, warring entities? If you like football stories and football with a soul, hit like and subscribe. What are your memories of these great Steaua sides? Let us know in the comments below. And in the meantime, stay tuned for more football history, one incredible story at a time.